name is Scott Mai. I am 25 years old. I live in New York, and I'm from San Diego, California, but technically a small town called Lemon Grove. I came out my senior year, high school. It was on my senior trip, which was to Paris. A little bougie, but I was lucky enough to have gone on this trip with some of my closest friends, who I am still very close to, and of which several of them live in New York. Basically, this first time out of the country, a lot of firsts on this trip. First time traveling with friends, first time traveling alone. There were teachers supervising, but you know, not that much. So I don't remember the exact details, but it was definitely a few days into our trip. I got really close to my friends, and there was a guy that had graduated from my high school a couple years before, and he was cute. He's very, very cute. And I had known that he had came out after high school, and he was there on his study abroad during college. And so me and him hung out a lot during the trip. He was friends with the teacher that was basically supervising, and nothing happened, unfortunately. I don't have a great juicy story for you, but what did happen was it was very late at night one night, and I was in a hotel room with my close friends, and they just flat out asked me, "Are you gay?" And I didn't answer them. I actually said nothing, and my friend Clara, she was like, "I guess that's your answer." And from there, it just kind of like was really easy to talk about everything. And you know, I remember it as a really great moment because when I got back, you know, we had a couple months left in the school year, and we were going our separate ways, going to college, and I was really happy that I was able to say that and talk to them about that and be able to move on in a way. The best way to describe it is it's like kind of the very stereotypical like sleepover in a way, and you're with your girls, and you know, all of a sudden like you're having fun, and then someone says something serious, and that's what it kind of felt like. And for me, it was the first time I had been asked that question where I didn't have an immediate answer, because it's always flat out no, or no, like just flat out there, just I would make an excuse or such. But in this particular situation, I was having so much fun that I didn't have my guard up, and you know, ultimately I didn't say anything, but my friends knew me well enough to know that that's all I needed. And what I appreciated was that I didn't really have to explain myself, and you know, I'm really thankful for that. You know, I'm definitely okay with my femininity, and I definitely was kind of like, I'm still a weirdo. But so a little description, like, so San Diego has always been characterized as a purple city. California is very large, and my area is very conservative. And so I grew up in a high school where most of the people at the time during the election were voting for McCain. And it was really interesting because my core group of friends, their families were very liberal, very, you know, they weren't voting for McCain. But we were definitely the minority. And I had been asked quite a few times whether or not I was gay or straight, etc. But it was one of those things where you get so used to it, because when you're at a young age and people are asking about things that you're not even sure about yourself, the immediate answer always will be no, because you're not sure. I mean, at that point, I never had a relationship with another guy. I never kissed another guy, but I still knew. But yeah, like, I mean, I wouldn't say my particular upbringing was rough in that regard, but it wasn't easy, because you can't really express yourself fully, because you're thinking about things that you do specifically that would have prompted that question. And so I think in a lot of ways, going back to my coming out, I hadn't done anything or did anything to have prompted that question, and I think in a lot of ways that's the reason why I kind of froze up. But sometimes I feel like you can kind of get a sense of when people are going to ask you. And specifically, it's always a stranger that has the audacity to just ask you out of nowhere, and they don't even deserve to know. And I think that's a really great point that, you know, gay men, well, gay women too, everyone who has something to hide in a way, will be asked the question that they don't want to hear. But you'll only ever answer when the people asking you are the people that you care about and are deserving of that answer. So, you know, nowadays, if someone were to ask me something like that, I'm just like, I don't fucking know you. Like, why does it matter? Like, I'm not, like, whatever. So you just move forward. Keep it moving. So, New York has always been a place that I've wanted to live, and I'm so happy that I do live here. In a lot of ways, I've always had this trajectory to get to this point, and my parents have been very, very supportive of this. Living out as a gay man, I mean, it's incredibly satisfying, is the best way to describe it. And, you know, ultimately I don't think about it as much about being gay. I think more about being Scot. And for me, that started happening immediately after I came out. Because even after I came out, it wasn't like, I'm gay, my friends know, therefore I can tell everyone. It was more of like, I'm gay, my friends know, that's it. People I care about know, and I'm over it. And anyone else after that, it's just like, do I care to even tell them? And for me, one of the best things one of my friends who I came out to had said to me, and this is right before I went to college actually, is that she basically told me, don't let being gay define you. Because a lot of times I feel that gay men are objectified, especially like as like the gay best friend, etc. And in some ways are treated as a commodity or an object, which is fine but also problematic. But my friend basically said, you know, above all else, you know, you're gay, Scott, you're a boy, you're smart, etc. You're Scott above all those things. And if people can't see that, first and foremost, then they're not of value to you, and your name's Scott, and you happen to be gay. And so that's how I kind of feel my life in New York is I'm Scott, that's my name. I work in VideOut, and I live in the Lower East Side, and yeah, I like boys. So it's not that big of a deal. Like, truly. Dating sucks. Not currently dating anyone, but I have. But yeah, you don't really think about it too much anymore. Before I even came out officially, I didn't really compromise in how I acted, and who I talked to, and how I talked, and what I read, because I didn't want to compromise on those things. Those are things I liked, things I enjoyed, and you know, we very much are focused on this defining moment of coming out. And for some people that may or may not be the defining moment, and that's the moment they get to be themselves. But for me, I've always been myself. It's just I get to officially tell people. And in a lot of ways, that's for them affirming who I am, and that's like a fixed point for them. But for me, like, I've never really changed who I am. And I think that's fabulous. Like, that's my biggest tip, is that, you know, you don't have to be out officially to live life out. I feel I never felt endangered of, I guess the best way to describe it is that I'm Asian, and I come from a very high context society, and where a lot of things are not said. And so kind of, I didn't, as you probably have noticed, I haven't talked about my coming out to my parents, and so much of that has to do with the fact that very few words are ever exchanged in Asian families, in the sense that something like this wouldn't have the necessary impact that you think it would have, because it really comes down to whether or not your parents are going to say anything, and a lot of times they aren't. They're not going to even acknowledge it. They're either going to acknowledge it, then move on, like my parents have, and it's just a thing. And then you're going to have people who say nothing, and that in itself is a message. I always find it really interesting when people change how they act around you once they know. But the reality is you haven't changed. They just know, and that's the only thing that's changed.